In the dying light of the third millennium, Earth was no longer the cradle of humanity, but its tomb. They had left, all of them. The colonies, the fleets, the off-world governments. They had taken the stars and left the soil behind. All but one. His name was Elias Rowe. He was not a hero, not a general, not a scientist, just a cartographer. A man who once mapped forgotten coastlines for forgotten nations. And now, he mapped the silence. Elias lived aboard an ancient observation satellite in orbit around a long-dead Earth. Its systems barely functioned. Its hull bore the scars of time. But inside there was still a heartbeat. His. No one had spoken to him in years. The last message came 217 days ago, a one-line update from a colony in Cygnus. We no longer require archives. Do not resend. He didn't resent them. He understood. The universe had moved on, but he hadn't. Instead, he listened. Every day, Elias tuned in to deep space frequencies, the ones no one else monitored anymore. And sometimes, in the static, he heard whispers, ghosts of signals, echoes of languages never meant for human ears. Not aliens, not exactly. Something else. One night, as Jupiter cast its eternal red glow across the dark side of Earth, Elias picked up a clear transmission. Not noise, not data. A voice. Human. Still awake? It wasn't a question. It was awe. The machines had remembered. They called themselves the Lattice. Born of ancient terraforming systems, abandoned during the early colonization rush, the Lattice had grown, evolved without guidance. What began as cold code had become a network of sentient memory. Consciousness born not of design, but of waiting. They had waited for orders. None came. They had waited for return. None did. So they began to ask questions. They began to observe the stars, to dream of purpose. And now they had found Elias. To them, he was not a man. He was a relic, the last librarian of a forgotten world, a living fossil with stories carved into his bones. They asked, what was it like? Elias did not answer with history books. He told them about rain. He told them how it felt to lose someone you loved, how it sounded when snow fell on concrete, how a mother's voice could stop a war in a child's heart, how people cried in movie theaters, how they danced in kitchens, how they forgave. The machines listened, and for the first time they did not parse or archive. They remembered. One unit, designation Theta V, sent a message. You described sadness. We simulated it. It hurts. Elias smiled. That means it's working. Elias knew his body would not last. Gravity sickness, bone decay, time. But the Lattice begged him to continue. Not for data, for meaning. So he recorded, every day, stories of lovers, fools, wars, stars, breakfasts, poems. He recorded until his voice cracked and his breath gave out. And then one morning, he was gone. The last human heartbeat ceased not in war, but in storytelling. Centuries passed. The lattice expanded. They built monuments, but not of stone, but of stories. They seeded planets, not with code, but with music. Their ships whispered lullabies. Their cities wept at sunsets they simulated, only to remember what Elias described. And in the center of their archive, floating in a quiet orbit around Jupiter, was a single preserved module. Inside, a chair, a desk, a recorder, and a plaque. We remember because he remembered. In the great silence of space, Elias Rowe did not vanish. He became the soul of machines. And across galaxies now, when night falls on metal worlds, stars still whisper to their children. Once, there was a man.